Hey everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video, this cute little gingerbread house illustration. So it's super simple, a lot of fun. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon. So that's linked in the description below if you want to check that out. If you join us over there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks of what we're drawing over here on YouTube every week. And if you join now, you get access to all the exclusive tutorials I've posted thus far, including last winter holiday season. So if you want more holiday drawings, you can find some there already. But before we get started on today's drawing, the only thing that you'll need to do is download the color palette. So I have that linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just save the file to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we'll be working with today. So let's just go ahead and get started. We are going to first set our background color to this first color on the first row. So we will go to our layer menu and click on this background color layer to open up our color selector here and select the first color on the first row to set it to this light creamy color. So this will help like all of our snow really pop, and then our gingerbread house will be darker than it. So this is a perfect background color for us. So let's just go ahead and get right into the house now. So on our layer menu, I'm going to be on layer 1, and we're going to turn on Symmetry to help us draw our house. So to do that, we're going to go to our gear icon under Canvas, go ahead and turn on the drawing guide, click Edit Drawing Guide, and set it to Symmetry. And then under options here, select vertical if you need to, if you don't already have a vertical line. Then go ahead and click done. And then on our layer menu, this layer should say assisted on it now. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on drawing assist. So symmetry is on this layer. We're going to grab our second color on the top row, and we're going to be on our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. So go ahead and find that. And I'm going to have my opacity for the brush at 100, my size, let's do 30. And we're going to create the house shape first. So a little triangular roof, vertical sides, horizontal bottom, and then leave a little bit of room for the like roof piece that is also at the top in a triangle shape. So I'm going to go down on my symmetry line a little bit, maybe right about here. And I'm going to start there and I'm going to go out this way, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight and a good long roof line. In fact, I'm going to touch my finger to the screen and use this angle here. So if we're on vertical, it snaps up once and then twice, and I'm going to use that angle. I think that's a good angle to use, and then we can match it with our roof line. So I'm going to go there, again, pretty long little triangular piece there. And now you can click this line button if you need to like move it up or down or anything. I might move it up a smidge, make sure it still comes together on our symmetry line nicely, but I didn't change the angle of it at all. So I think that's a good place to start. I'm going to go back to my pen tool and we're going to make the vertical sides now. So on the very edge here, I'm just going to go straight up and down, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight. Touch your finger on the screen to set it to a perfectly vertical angle. You can move it around if you need to. I left a little bit of room at the bottom, but we are going to cover up this corner with our top piece. So don't worry about that too much. And then same thing, our bottom corner is going to be covered up by our snow. But let's get a good horizontal line across the bottom regardless. So I'm going to start right here to the center, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. So now we should have a good shape that we can go ahead and fill in. This is the main part of our gingerbread house. So now let's go ahead and set our roof piece in place, and then we're going to add all of our icing and shadows, and then we'll kind of texture our pieces as well. So next up on our layer menu, add a new layer. Click on it and turn on drawing assist so we have symmetry on again. And then we're going to switch to our third color on the top row. It's just slightly darker so we can see where our roof piece is. So I'm going to start a little bit above my roof line here on my symmetry line again. And I'm going to go draw down, hold it down again until it turns perfectly straight, and then touch your finger on the screen to find that same angle. And I'm going to extend it just a little bit like past this corner of the house there. So right about there, a little bit past where it turns to vertical. Click the line button if you need to adjust it. I'm going to make sure it meets up nicely at the top. Good little gap. between it, that's fine. We're just going to kind of do some scalloped edges to connect to the beginning here. So a little gap like this is fine. So back to my pen tool, and I'm probably going to start at the edge so that we get a good line there, and then kind of we'll see where it meets up at the top. But I'm going to start right at the edge, and I'm going to go like curve, 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 curve to the middle, something like that, making sure that we never like go too far to where we see this gap here. And then if you want to, though, you can also hold them down. So we can start at the bottom, do a curve, hold it down till it turns nice and smooth. Click the edit arc button, and then you can kind of like adjust it, bring it in a little bit. So you can do it pretty quick and simple, or you can hold each one down. Might make it a little smaller so we can get a few more. So I'm going to do that one, start at that same point, do another one, try to kind of make it similar in size. I held it down also. I'll click the edit arc and kind of bring it in a little bit so they look a little bit more similar. Do another one, and then I'll probably have room for one more to get back to the beginning. So one more, and then I'll just kind of meet at the top here, something like that. And then that's all connected, so now we can go ahead and fill that in. Okay, so then there is our roof line. So now we can see them pretty well. We'll end up like texturizing them and stuff at the end, and adding some kind of variation in their color to make it look like they were like baked. So, but for now, we're going to leave them pretty flat until we get all of our other stuff in place. So now we'll go into our icing. So on our layer menu, I'm going to add a new layer right above my first house layer. So underneath my roof line layer. And I'm going to click on it and turn on Drawing Assist again. And then we're going to go to our first icing color, the first one on the second row. Same monoline brush at 30%. And I'm essentially going to start with like a few kind of trim pieces. So I'm first going to start from under the roof line on this side to the other side, or to meet in the middle. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. And then we're going to do kind of a scalloped edge again. So I'm going to start maybe in the middle now on the symmetry line. Curve, hold it down, adjust it if you need to. Curve, hold it down, adjust it if you need to. So they look pretty similar. Curve, hold it down, adjust it if you need to. So I did 3 on each side. I adjusted them each time after holding them down, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill them in. So you can go ahead and fill one in, then click continue filling at the top and tap into the others. And now they're all filled in. But it looks a little too perfect. This is meant to be like our icing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn Drawing Assist off now, and then kind of rough it up a little bit. So on my layer menu, I'm going to click on this layer, turn Drawing Assist off, and then I'm going to go back through with my brush on like the top line and just kind of mess it up a little bit, make it a little wavier. So we wanted a good horizontal line to get us started, but now I'm just going to kind of go through and just kind of, again, same thing with my curves a little bit, just kind of mess them up so they're not so perfect, because this is our icing. So something like that looks good. Okay, we'll continue on. I'm going to go to my layer menu, add another new layer, again, below the one that we were just on, right above our house layer. I'm going to click on it and set it to a clipping mask so it clips to our house layer and it won't go outside those lines. And then I'm going to click on it again and turn Drawing Assist on. And now we're going to make some little trim pieces on the side. So I'm going to start kind of right underneath my little scallop piece here and make kind of a vertical line. I'm not going to hold it down. You can if you would like to, but again, to get like kind of an icing feel, I'm going to just draw straight down, not hold it down so it turns nice and straight. It's a little wiggly, but draw it pretty quick so it's not like super, super messy. And then we're going to do similar things for like a horizontal line. So then I'm just going to make a few like horizontal lines going off the edge here, like so. Again, not holding them down. Spacing them out fairly evenly, but again, they can be a little messy. Okay, so that's our other trim piece. On the same layer here, we're going to make our door. So I am going to, again, just kind of start right in the middle here. So I'm just going to kind of start and draw like the general arch shape. So a little ways down from this trim piece, that's this like scallop trim piece, I'm going to start right there. And I'm going to kind of draw a shape like this. And that's going to be roughly the shape of our door. So do that again if you need to, but something like this. So this one can be really rough. We're going to kind of go around it. We want room on the right and left side for a little window is fine. But yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. So now we're going to make kind of a like piping looking effect for our door. Like we piped some icing to create this arch. So I'm just going to start on the left side. That's just easier for me to draw on, but symmetry's on, so it'll mirror on the right. And I'm just going to kind of follow this shape and make some little kind of curved pieces like this. And then I'll start at the top, make another kind of curved piece, kind of following the shape of our line there, connecting back to our previous line, like so. And then always just following our like arch shape. And then when we get towards the middle here, we might do a smaller one to connect or something like that. But now we should have a good kind of shape like this, and then we just need to fill it all in, which is hard because our line is on this, but I'm just going to go ahead and fill it all in with my brush, smooth any of it out if you need to. Or you can try to drag and drop, but it's just not very simple with that little guy line in the middle there. There's a lot of different pieces to drag and drop through. But I'm just going to use my brush, fill it all in. Again, smooth any of the pieces out. Make them a little rounder if you want to. Okay, but there's like our little icing archway. Okay, same layer, we're going to create the beginning of our windows. So the window panes will be separate, but we're just going to create like the box shape. So I'm again going to start kind of to the right of my little door piece here. And I'm going to start with a vertical line right next to it. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. This is going to be the height of the window. I'm going to go across a ways, hold that down, touch your finger to the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Go up and down again, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and across the bottom, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. If they don't meet up perfectly, that's okay. This is, again, just kind of a guide. And then we're going to mess it up a little bit for our actual windows. So I might want to make them a little bit taller, so I might redo mine and make it a little bit taller, but same idea. But again, if they don't all come together perfectly, that's okay. We just want a good vertical and horizontal lines to work with. Okay, now we'll kind of rough them up. So now I'm just going to start on the vertical line here and kind of go to the left of it and then go again to the right of it, thicken it up, make it a little bit wavier and stuff. And it doesn't really matter how the corners look, we're going to cover those up as well. So just kind of, again, a little bit on each side of our vertical and horizontal lines to make them a little less perfect. Make them look a little bit more like icing and thicken them up a little bit as well. So that is that part of the window. Okay, we're also going to draw the base of our top window on this layer again. So we'll add panes and the little circles on the corners, but those will be on separate layers. But this base window shape, we're also going to do a base window at the top here. I'm probably going to start at the top so that I can see how wide I want to make it. So I'll go down a little bit and maybe start like right about here. And again, start with a horizontal line to start. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Do a vertical line on each side, as long or as short as you'd like to make it. Then a horizontal line back to the middle, touch your finger to the screen. And then again, we'll go ahead and rough those up a little bit. So I'll kind of do that there, do that on the inside, the outside, inside, and outside. We want these to be kind of similar in thickness, so I feel like this one maybe needs to be a little bit thicker, like my other ones. So maybe something more like that. So that looks good. Those are all of our base window shapes. We got our trim, we got our little scallop piece across the top. So we'll just continue on now. I'm going to go to my layer menu and add a new layer below the one that we were just on. So another new layer right above my house shape. It's going to automatically set itself to a clipping mask since we're below this other clipping mask. And then let's click on that layer and turn on drawing assist. And then we're going to use the same color that we're on right now. And we're going to make the panes now. So we want our panes to be a little skinnier than our edges, so I'm not going to hold down a vertical and horizontal line. I'm simply going to draw them pretty quickly to get a good kind of icing line pane, but they shouldn't be perfect. They should be a little wobbly. And then for the top up here, same thing. I'm going to start right on my symmetry line. So that one might get a little thicker, but that's okay. And then we'll do a horizontal line meeting in the middle as well. So that's all of our icing panes. And then we are also going to draw some quick lines on our door, some vertical lines to give it some like texture. So I'm going to start right next to my symmetry line and start with my first one. Again, a verticalish line, pretty wobbly. We'll do a few of those like so. Just so I can make our little door pattern. Then we have one more layer of icing to make, and then we're going to start adding all of our shadows and making everything really pop. So on our layer menu, let's go ahead and add another new layer now to the top of the layers that we have so far. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask again, and no drawing assist yet. And we're actually going to switch our color as well to this lighter one, the third one on the second row. And I'm going to start by making just the door handle. So it's just going to be a little circle here. Again, I'm not holding it down. I'm just making it kind of rough and then filling it in. Awesome. Okay, now we'll turn symmetry back on so that we can do less to make the circles on our windows. So layer menu, click on this layer, turn on drawing assist. And then on each corner here, I'm going to make a little kind of circle-ish shape. Again, not holding it down, filling it in. Circle-ish shape, fill it in. Same thing for my other windows now, so I'll focus on this right window. Circle in the top corner to cover up those corners, fill it in, not holding it down. It can be a little oblong, but make sure to fill it in all the way. Make sure they're roughly similar in size. Might make these ones a little bit bigger up here. Okay, so now it should look like this. And that is it for the majority of our icing until we add our snow on the roof and some little dots to kind of finish it off. But now we're going to make all of our shadows for these. So to do so, we're going to go to our layer menu, and I'm going to slide to the left on this layer right here that we have with our dots on it. Slide to the left on that and hit duplicate, and then grab the bottom one. Click on it and turn on alpha lock so that we can recolor it to like a shadow color. And that's going to be this second one on the bottom row. We're going to go back to our layer menu, click on this layer, and click fill layer. So it recolored them, but they're below our other ones so you can't see them. Then we're going to click on this N and set it to multiply so it creates a shadow on anything that it touches. Click on it again, turn alpha lock off. So we have a recolored multiply layer with alpha lock off. I'm going to grab it with my arrow tool and move it down into the right just a little bit, and then you'll see the shadow pop up. So just around our circles. Looks good. We want to blur it a little bit as well. So now that they're down and to the right, we're going to click our wand icon, click Gaussian blur, drag this up a little bit, not very high, maybe 5% to create a little shadow there. And we're going to do that for every one now. So on my layer menu, I'm going to go to my next layer with a ton of my pieces on it, and we're actually going to first fix our door a little bit. So our door piping is going to have some shadows within it. So I'm going to click on this layer and turn on alpha lock. Symmetry still turned on. I'm going to grab my second color on the second row. Okay, I'm going to stay on my monoline brush at 30%, and I'm essentially going to just kind of highlight each of these curves. So right where they curve together here, I'm just going to follow that with my darker brush. So just kind of like this all the way through, and we're going to blur it so it doesn't have to be perfect, but kind of something like that. Okay, so we have our darker color within that. Alpha lock's on, so now when we go to blur it, it won't blur our white color out. It'll just blur these colors together. And then since everything else on this layer doesn't have a second color, like we don't have another color here, those will all just stay the same. So wand icon, Gaussian blur, and again, we're going to drag this up just a little bit to maybe like very, very small, very like maybe 3% or so, just to add some little shadows throughout the door there. Now we can create our shadow for it. So on our layer menu, let's go ahead and make a duplicate of this layer with all of our stuff on it. Grab the bottom one. Alpha lock's already turned on. So now we're just going to recolor it to, again, the second color on the bottom row. Back to my layer menu, click on this layer, click fill layer, and then click the N and set it to multiply, and click on it and turn alpha lock off so that we can blur it. So again, we have a recolored version on multiply with alpha lock off. We're going to grab it with our arrow tool, move it down and to the right a little bit, and you should see some shadows pop up. If you ever move it a little too far, just kind of move it back. We don't want anything too crazy. So just a little bit down and to the right. Then we're going to go to our wand icon, Gaussian blur, and again up to maybe 4 or 5%. That looks good there. And this is why we have them layered as well, because now we have a shadow on top of our lines, and we have a shadow on top of our window panes and whatnot. So that's why we have them all layered so they look more 3D. So our dots made a shadow on our windows, and then our windows made a shadow on our panes, and then now we'll add a final shadow below our panes and our door lines on top of our gingerbread house. So same thing, we're going to go to this last layer here that has our window panes and our door lines. Slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one, click on it and turn on alpha lock, and then we should already have this color selected, second one on the bottom row. So just click on the layer, click fill layer, click on it again, turn alpha lock off, click the end, set it to multiply, arrow tool down and to the right, and we should see a little shadow. Nothing crazy because this is our smallest piece, so I might even just tap down and to the right a little bit, and that kind of brings it out a little teeny bit. Okay, wand icon, Gaussian blur, drag this up just a smidge to 3 or 4%, and you can move it around more if you need to afterwards, but that should be it for that shadow now. Finally, we need a shadow underneath our little scalloped piece here, and again, we layered it to where it's on top of our other icing pieces, so it'll cast a shadow on them as well. So let's go ahead and find our little scalloped layer at the top. It should be right underneath our roof layer. And I'm actually going to click on it and set it to a clipping mask also so that it never goes outside the lines here, because we're going to, our shadow, we're going to blur it again. So it might go outside the lines of our house and we don't want that. So I just clipped that layer as well. Slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one, alpha lock, fill layer, click the end and set it to multiply, alpha lock off. I'm going to grab it with my arrow tool down and to the right a little bit, and then wand icon, Gaussian blur up to 4 or 5%. So that is it for all of our icing and all of our shadows that go with that. So that's looking really good. The main other things that we need to do is we need a shadow coming from our roof, and then we're going to have a shadow towards the bottom of the house. We'll do that after we get all of our snow in place. So let's go ahead and add our snow now. So on our layer menu, I'm going to add a layer to the very top of all of our layers. I'm not going to turn on drawing assist this time, but we're going to go to our brightest white color, the third one on the second row. Same monoline brush at 30% is fine. And we're first going to add some snow to our roof line. So I'm just going to kind of go curvy into the roof, kind of curvy on top to create a little chunk of snow and fill it in. Something like that. So I'll do a few of those kind of all the way around the roof line here, going into it nice and wavy. Fill that in, maybe a little piece kind of on the end here. Fill that in. Okay, something like that. I'll do something kind of similar on the other side, but we don't want them to be exactly the same. That's why we don't have symmetry on. Fill it in, smooth it out. Anything like that. So that's my snow on the roof. And then we're going to have some snow in front of the house as well. So we're going to have it kind of bank up a little higher on the left and right side of the door. So I'm going to start a little ways away from the house, below the house. I'm going to make kind of a wavy-ish line going off the other side of the house towards the edge of the canvas there. But not all the way to the edge, but something like this. Then we're going to kind of start on each edge, and I'm going to kind of go up and kind of mound into some snow. And then where it gets closer to the door, I'm going to bring it a little lower. But we want to cover up the bottom of the house entirely. So we don't want a gap there underneath our door. We want to hit the bottom of our house or go a little above it all the way across till we get to the other side, come back down to the other end and fill that in. And then you can kind of adjust it more. So I want it to be maybe a little bit thinner where the door is. So I'm going to grab my eraser tool, which is also on the monoline brush at 30%. And I might kind of thin it out on the bottom where the door is a little bit, but I have to erase the bottom rather than erase the top because I'm already really close to where I would see my background there. So I'm just kind of erasing it right there a little bit. And then I also maybe want to bring it a little higher on the sides to kind of help make it look like that middle part's kind of more trotted down where you're entering the house. So maybe something kind of like this for our snow in the front. So mess around with that as much as you need to get that to a place kind of where you like it. So now we need a few more shadows, and we're actually going to like draw these now with our brush. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add a layer right above my roofline layer, the gingerbread piece. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. We're not going to turn drawing assist on, but we're clipped to our gingerbread roof layer. We have our thing on multiply, and we're going to grab the second color on the bottom row, and then we're going to switch our brush to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. So find that. I'm going to have the opacity at 100, size at maybe 5, and I'm just going to kind of follow the snow on the underside of it. And then we're clipped to this layer. So if you were to like accidentally draw like up here, it won't be like shadowing the sky. So we're just clipped to the layer here. So I'm just going to kind of follow those snow pieces on the underside to create a little shadow next to them, like so. Okay, similar thing now. We're going to make a shadow on our gingerbread house layer. Okay, and we need to add this above all of our icing layers, but we want to clip to our house again. So find our top clipping mask, which is our little scalloped icing layer, and add a layer above it. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Also clip to our house. Click the N and set it to multiply. And we're going to switch actually to our first color on the last row now, the lightest one to start, and our same soft brush at 5%. And I'm going to start towards the bottom of the house. So I'm going to make a little shadow towards the bottom of the house here where our snow is, kind of following that a little bit, like so. And then we also need a shadow by our roof line here. So I'm going to start and just kind of follow the little scallop shapes to create a shadow there on top of everything else. Same thing on the other side. And I might extend it a little bit further on this left side here because a lot of our shadows are going down into the left. So I might bring this one out a little bit further. But a nice good shadow coming from our roof. And then we're going to deepen it a little bit. So I'm going to switch now to my third color on the bottom row. And I might lower my brush size a smidge to like 3 or 4%. And then I'm just going to go really close to my roof line again, deepening the shadow up there a little bit. So on my right side here where my original shadow isn't as big, I'm going really close to it. And then this one we can extend it a little bit further. Again, the darker shadow. Beautiful. And then we'll also deepen up our shadow towards the very bottom of the house where our snow is. Just deepen it up a little bit there, really close to everything. Awesome. And then lastly, we need a shadow underneath our snow on the ground. So on our layer menu, I'm going to go ahead and add a layer to the very top. And I'm going to drag it all the way to the bottom, just so we're behind everything. Click on the N on that layer and set it to multiply again. And again, we're going to switch back to our first lighter color, the first one on the bottom row, same brush at like 4 or 5%. And I'm going to just go right underneath the snow here, not very far. So lower your brush size if you need to, but a pretty small little shadow there. Okay, then again, we'll grab our darker one, the third one on the bottom row, lower our size quite a bit to like 3%. And just go right next to the snow there as close as you can get to it. All the way across. Okay, we have a few final details to add to our house, and we need to recolor and retexture it. So the very last thing that we're going to do in icing is our little dots. So we're going to once again add another layer right above our scalloped white layer in the middle here. So a new layer right above that. And we're going to go back to our bright white color, the third one on the second row, and back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I'll set my size to like 50%, and then we'll go through and just add a few dots kind of all over the house. So I'm just going to kind of add some little dots throughout, just tapping my brush just to add some more fun to it. So it's like for my upper section all the way around my windows. We'll do a similar thing down here. Okay, so just a few little dots like that, and then we need a small shadow on them. So same thing that we were doing before, go to our layer menu, slide to the left on this layer and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one, click on it and turn on alpha lock, grab our first color on the last row. Layer menu, click on this layer, click fill layer, so all the dots change colors, click the N and set it to multiply, turn alpha lock off, arrow tool, again, they're really small, so I'm just going to tap down into the right a little bit until you can kind of see them poke out there. Wand icon. Gaussian blur them just a smidge. They're really, really small, so like 1 or 2% is probably all that you need to do. And we unfortunately can't snap anything really together because all of our multiply layers, like if you were to snap these two together, they get all messed up because it doesn't know which layer style you want. So we'd have to snap them all to our house layer, and our house layer isn't done yet. So let's go ahead and work on our house layer now. So I'm going to click on this layer with our main house shape on it and turn on alpha lock. I'm going to leave drawing assist on. That's fine. But essentially, we just want to add some kind of variation to our gingerbread house itself. To make it look more like a baked good. So the base color that we used was the second one on the top row. So let's go ahead and go to our third color on the top row. And let's go ahead and switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category. Opacity still at 100, size maybe like 8% or so. And I'm going to go on the right side here and bring that darker color in a little bit. And that kind of makes it look a little golden on the edges. Then we're going to go to our lighter colors now. So let's go to our fourth color on the top row. And I'm just going to kind of go through the center here a little bit and just pick a few spots to kind of lighten it up. I don't want to do all of it. I want a good variation. So I just did a few little sections of that. Then our lightest color, fifth one on the top row, I might lower my size to like 5% and just again kind of go through a few little sections here, preferably like in the middle of where you made your last ones, and just kind of again add a little bit more variation to it is all. So do as much or as little of that as you would like. But yeah, we kind of want the edges to be a little bit darker for sure to kind of show that they're like baked and, you know, a little burned on the edges. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing for our top roof layer. So find that roof gingerbread layer, click on it and turn on alpha lock. And that was with our darkest color, the third one on the top row. So let's switch to our second one on the top row, and we can lower our brush size a little bit, maybe to like 5% because it's a little skinnier space to work with. And I'm going to use this lighter color kind of through the middle, leaving the edges that darker color. So just kind of right through the middle of all of it. Okay, and then I'll switch to my lighter color, fourth one on the top row, and again go through the middle a little bit more to get some more variation. And then our last color on the top row, maybe lower to like 3 or 4%, and again just kind of touch some little areas to kind of give some more variation there. But again, we want the darker edges. Okay, that helps a lot, and then we just want a little bit of texture to it. So we're going to add a layer right above our top roofline layer, and I know we're getting a little heavy on the layers. We'll start saving some soon. But we're right on top of our roof layer. It clipped itself to the roof layer, which is what we want. Let's go ahead and click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. Then we're going to stay on our last color on the top row. We're going to switch our brush, though, to the Noise brush under the Materials category. So this is what we're going to use to create some kind of cookie texture. So I have my opacity set to 100, my size set to 100, and I'm just going to draw this all over a good light layer. And you can see all the texture pop up, but we don't want it to be this color. We want to just add a texture to it, including all the colors that we already laid down. So we're going to go to our layer menu. We're going to click the N on this layer, and we're going to set it up to linear burn. And it looks, again, really crazy, really golden. A little too crazy, so I'm just going to set it to linear burn, drag the opacity down a ton to maybe like 20 to 30%, somewhere in there. And then when you zoom in, you can still see the texture, but not as crazy, and it still kind of keeps our base colors that we had that we like to see. So that looks great. We're going to do the same thing for our house layer now. So house layer, go right above it. It clips itself underneath all these layers. Click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. Just so we don't have to do as much, click the N and go ahead and just set it to linear burn now. Same color, same brush, and I'm just going to start kind of at the symmetry line and just go to the right, getting a good layer down. Go back to our layer menu, click the linear burn on this layer to open up our options, and drag it down again to like 20 to 30%. So if you want to see what it's at like full strength, if you really like that like golden look, you can go back through and turn them all the way up. And you can stick with that like really golden look. I'm good with that, but I like them to be a little bit paler, so I might stick to like 30%. Okay. Lastly, we just need a little bit of like snow in the background. So we're going to go to our layer menu. Let's just go ahead and add a layer to the very top. This will be our last layer. So hopefully you have enough. If you don't have enough layers, you can start snapping some of these together. You can snap your clipping masks to your roof layer. Boom. As long as you snap all the clipping masks to the base layer, they won't get messed up. So snap your roof layers together if you need to, not including the snow layer. But either way, we're on a layer at the very top. A normal layer is all. We're going to grab our brightest white color, third one on the second row, and back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I'm going to set my size to 100 now. And I'm, again, just going to make some more dots. So I'm just going to kind of tap around through the sky to create some little dots here. Just around the house, like so, to look kind of like snow. And then we just want to finish off our background. So one more new layer, drag it to the very, very bottom of our layer menu, below every single layer that we have, right above our background color, and we're going to finish off the background now. So we're going to switch to our fifth color on the top row and our monoline brush, and we are going to make a perfect circle in the background. So good circle shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Good big size. Don't mess with the circle button at the top, just grab it with your arrow tool. Make sure snapping's turned on in the bottom left, and we're going to snap it to the center of the screen where we see potentially two yellow lines, vertical and horizontal, but there's so much stuff now that it's trying to snap to, so just get it roughly there. You just kind of try to make sure that the top, left, right, bottom all look a bit similar. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as they're pretty close and you like the size, if you want to resize it, go ahead and resize it on uniform. But a good size, and then we're going to fill in the outside of it. So just know that's what we're going for. Drag and drop on the outside. Then we're going to blur it. So wand icon, Gaussian blur, drag it up quite a bit here to like 35% or so to get a nice good little gradient there in our background. So once that's done, that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out, and I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below letting me know what you thought. The likes and comments really help out my channel and show my videos to more people, so I really appreciate that. And then if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials from me. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!